Velco Weather Hazards Outlook. This is be valid for tomorrow, Sunday through Saturday, December the 20th. And what we're looking at now is still the same old upper level system that's generally pulling away from the region. More steady or persistent snow showers across portions of Maine, northern portions of New Hampshire, and a little bit into the kingdom. They're expecting occasional flurries from time to time, affecting as this continuation of this circulation of this area of low pressure kind of moves across, and once in a while we'll get a few wet snowflakes here, and that's going to be about it. Here, high resolution computer modeling shows really not a whole lot going on. A little bit of flurry activity as you see here in the Northeast Kingdom, mostly Essex County, northern Orleans County, maybe into Caledonia, and maybe as far southwest as Lamoille, but probably not. This is a low water content snowfall, nothing to really worry about. Not anticipating any power outages due to this. And here you can see it 15 hours. This would be valid 9 o'clock tonight. This is the amount of snowfall, and generally a tenth and maybe up to a half inch in some of the highlands of the far northeast kingdom. Oh, latest model runs show basically a little bit of a higher pressure system starting to ridge into the region. It's going to knock back any precipitation. And you can see temperatures here near the 32-degree mark, this lighter blue line, indicating that we might actually get above the freezing mark here, and that's hopeful. Now, as we get into Sunday afternoon, that could happen, but cool night looks like in the teens, and then we're back into a weak ridge of higher pressure. That's going to be good for some good restoration work here, and that works into the day Monday and into Monday night. And even part of the day on Tuesday, we're looking at a little bit of a warm-up on Tuesday, and then precipitation roughly right about 7 o'clock in the evening, just now starting to enter Vermont. This is when we're going to have a little more problematic issues here. This is relatively light precipitation. Note the fact that we're talking basically under a tenth of an inch and maybe almost 1/1500th of an inch in a 6-hour period here. So this is not a heavy burst of any major precipitation, but it's going to be with us for a while. 1007 millibar area of low pressure will then cross the region. Temperatures do warm up, so we're going to have a little bit of mixed precipitation types, a little bit of wet snow. We're talking about very minor stuff. I guess indications look like maybe 2 to 4 inches, maybe 1 to 3 inches. A little bit of glazing potential, mostly a travel issue. And then as we get into a little further along here on Wednesday, it'll cool off on the backside of this weather system, and we'll see some winds start to kick in on the backside of this area of low pressure. You notice it's not moving as fast, and it is kind of hanging around, and it looks like a flurry and maybe a little bit of an upslope component to some of our northern Green Mountains where that could accrue some snow, but mostly we're talking about very low water content snowfall and actually some decent powder to add to the great skiing that's out there, and not a problem for additional power outages. So the hope is once we get this far along, we won't have any snow-loaded issues here having to worry about, and if anything, these winds will probably help knock things off. But temperatures do get cold. Now, by the time we get into Saturday here, looks like another ridge of higher pressure with another good project weather day indicated. And then we have to watch this weather system here below. This is a storm system loaded for bear, a lot of moisture coming out of the Gulf of Mexico. Right now, this area of higher pressure across parts of Canada is going to hold that puppy to the south. And the hope is that it stays south of us and does not introduce more moisture to our region, because if it were to track north, it would probably bring some warm air with it, and also it would be very waterlogged as well. So something we do not need at this time. It does look like this area of low pressure, 991 millibars, then does track off the eastern seaboard. Something we're going to have to watch. But again, this is down the road a piece. We're talking Sunday into Monday of next week. Now we're going to focus in just a little bit with the European model on what we're looking at here is the snowfall with 32-degree isotherm temperature there. You see the Champlain Valley is already warmed up. This is valid about 1 o'clock in the morning. This would be for Tuesday night, working into the day on Wednesday. You can see that it moves on through. We're not looking at a tremendous amount of snowfall, fairly light amounts of snow on this front side. And then on the back side, also really not a tremendous amount of snowfall here. But this is going to start to accumulate and linger across some of our western slopes of the northern Green Mountains. Places like Jay Peak, back down probably into snow, Smuggler's Notch. You're going to pick up some decent amount of extra snowfall with this, with the upslope component. Very localized to our local Green Mountains. Good for skiing, not so much an issue for power. So I'm I'm optimistic that that's not really going to be a problem for our backside. There's that decent day on Saturday, and then we get into Saturday and Sunday. Sunday looks like we'll have to see some clouds and then that storm system passing off to the south of us. Hopefully, no additional major wet snow loading issues here. Here's the 06Z run earlier from this morning of the GFS ensemble model, and this is centered on Burlington. So what you see here is you get that little aspect of freezing rain with warmer air aloft. When the actual storm system develops, it looks like on Tuesday night into Wednesday, it's kind of a mix of rain and snow, kind of a half kind of deal, 50-50. So that's the area we're going to have to watch. But you might note that 1/10, 2/10, 3/10. This is not going to be a big storm. This does not have a lot of water with it, so that's very, very good news for us. Here's the 2-meter temperature on the 06Z model run for the GFS ensemble model. And again, this is centered on Burlington, Vermont. So you're looking at temperatures today up in the 25 to 30 degree range, and then tonight's lows and temperature a little bit warmer, trying to make a run toward 32 degrees, and then it's tomorrow night. And then as we get into Sunday, another shot of trying to get up a little bit over 30, or Monday, 32 degrees, maybe a little bit warmer than that. And then a colder night preceding it, and the GFS ensemble indicates we do go above freezing for that storm, and that's where the above the 32 degree temperature line here gets into the region. And also of note, aloft, this would be the freezing mark roughly at 850 millibars, something we determine using, if it's colder than this, it's going to be snow. If it's warmer than this, it's going to be rain. So we max out aloft with some warm air influx. And again, it's a little bit offset. You might notice that the timing is a little bit different here, where it warms up aloft, but it's offset at the surface. So it's a little bit more of a complex forecast, but it does cool back down as we get into later in the week. And we'll deal with it then, but it does look like we're not really in for any major changes here, with a little bit of warming for the middle part of the week with that weather system, maybe some wet snow, very minor amounts, and we're talking about limited amounts of precipitation, a little bit of glazing, a little bit of travel issue, not anticipating a big deal. The hope is we can unload some of those trees before that point in time. And a quick look again at the Water Prediction Center. This is the accumulated precipitation from today, Saturday, through next Saturday morning, and you can see 2,500 of an inch, half inch here amounts. So we're not looking at very much in the way of total accumulated precipitation through this entire period. And the other thing to look at here just is trivial, but looks like the West Coast is under the gun here for more heavy rains in some locales. Here's the maximum temperature anomalies, the highs of the day weighted, and we're running above normal, 6 to 9 degrees above normal. And this again is through the period ending Saturday night. And offset about 3 days later, 3 to 7 days, you're looking at through 0Z Sunday as well, the 21st. And you can see temperatures near normal, so kind of a balancing act, a little bit warm, a little bit cold, all evening out. Here's another look at the forecasted temperature meteogram by Iowa State, and you notice that there's some anomalous looking business here. Colder temperatures in the teens basically as we get into Saturday night, Sunday, tonight, and then kind of maintains that temperature. Another cold night looks like along around Monday night into Tuesday, and then temperatures make a little bit of a warm up here. Now note, highs of the day basically 30 to 35 degrees on Sunday, and also a little closer to 35. That's the latest thinking by the National Weather Service, up close to mid-30s, and that happening on Monday. That would be the day to watch for snow loading, fingers crossed. Quick look at 7-day snowfall, total 26 inches atop Mount Mansfield. That's the most, of course, at that elevation. 21 inches in Walden. And a lot of reports, of course, 18 inches, some pretty hefty reports across a wide area of very heavy snow. And snow on the ground, 31 at the stake, top Mount Mansfield, 14 in my location, 12 inches over toward Plainfield, 20 inches in Walden, 12 inches, 11 inches generally in the northern part of Caledonia County, a little bit less up to the Northeast Kingdom, northern areas rather. And eastern parts of Vermont have lost a little snow with kind of an influx of very warm air. 10 inches around Rutland, and looks like 11 inches in areas of the northern portion of Bennington County. So in summary, good restoration weather is ahead for Sunday and Monday, and we'll have to watch temperatures making it above the 32-degree mark. That would be very, very good news. We have a couple shots of that, especially along about Monday, and maybe even into Tuesday, but we have a weather system that'll be bearing on us for Tuesday night. Looks like it'll last probably into the day on Thursday, as flurries, maybe even into Friday in some locations. Roger Hill, Wuthering Heights Consulting.